Welcome back, everybody, to the You Can Homeschool podcast. This is Pat Fenner from Breakthrough Homeschooling. And today I have the privilege of interviewing Corina Holden from Front Fighters, which is hard to say sometimes. But I haven't known Corina for a long time, but I've known of her uh, Front Fighters website and things a couple of years ago. Well, probably many more years ago than I could think of. I started looking into the concept of capsule wardrobes, and I was fascinated with that because any of you who know me or you've heard Tracy and I talking, I am not a clothes horse. I have clothes in my closet from that my kids are begging me to get rid of, okay, because I just don't shop. And so the idea of like looking kind of decent as a homeschool mom and not having to take out a loan to go clothes shopping and stuff like was really, really caught me. So,
Yeah.
yeah. So then anyway, so I'm now an affiliate of Front Fighters. I really love everything Karina's doing. I love her heart behind it too. And so I asked her to come on the show, and I'm really honored that you are here today. So thank
Oh,
you.
I'm so excited to be here. Thank you for having me.
So why don't you give us a little background, introduce us yourself rather to our audience, and tell us kind of what you're up to right now.
Yeah. So, my name is Corina. I'm in my early 30s. I'm married. I have four boys, and they're all pretty little. So, we're kind of in the little years right now. We live in Washington State. And so, Pat, you and I were just talking about the heat wave that we had here this summer. It was very strange for us, but usually it's nice, temperate summer and really temperate all year round. So, we love it here. And yeah, that's kind of my life right now.
Yeah, great. So let me ask you, Karina, like what was behind your the why, like what got you started here with Front Fighters and the whole concept that you're doing with helping moms fight
Yeah.
front?
Yeah. you know, the word frumpy was always something that came to mind when I felt like not put together or my outfit just didn't work. And fashion was not something that came easily for me.
Mm,
Um, so when I became a mom, I felt that it was even more of a struggle because there was less time. It was harder to get out shopping. I also became a stay-at-home mom with my first, so I didn't need the wardrobe that I had before for an office setting.
mhm.
So I kind of struggled with anything that wasn't office attire. And not that I really knew how to dress for the office anyway, but so when I thought, hey, I'm going to challenge myself to start a blog, and I tried to think of what would be a fun challenge. I do love shopping for clothes, but I thought it would be a challenge to figure out sort of a system to make clothing more fun, not stressful, and budget friendly for a family budget. So that's kind of how I got started with it. And I've really, and it's been now going on 6 years, I think, or maybe almost going on 7 years of since I started it. And it continues to be so much fun.
Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome. Yeah, I know that and for those of you, I'm going to put the link in the show notes for those of you who may not be familiar with her. With Karina, you have to read her about page because she gives some pictures and everything that, oh my gosh, when I was reading it, I could have put my face where her picture.
Yep.
She showed some, she was really vulnerable, and she shows some of the fashion faux pas, I guess, that she
Yes.
committed over time. But, really, when you have young kids at home, I mean, I remember just days that I sometimes wouldn't even know what I had put on. Like you just, especially when they're young, when they're little, and you're
Mm-hmm.
not necessarily getting sleep and all that stuff, you just kind of throw on whatever's there. And the yoga pants are, sometimes a young mom's best friend. And so,
Yeah, that's right.
but it doesn't always mean you want to wear them, even though you may be wearing them. So
Yeah, exactly. I think sometimes we assume that that's our only option or that's the only comfortable thing to do, to play with our kids, but there's really so much more that we can wear that will make us feel a little bit more confident and put together and just ready to head out the door or whatever your day holds.
right.
So, that's been fun to explore that.
I think some of us, especially in this past year, haven't had to have that, head out the door kind
Yeah,
of outfit.
that's right.
As long as we're good from the top up, we're fine.
Right.
But
Yeah.
certainly as homeschool, now you said you just told me this is kind of a neat discovery that you had been homeschooled.
Yeah.
And so you can kind of at least relate to the busy homeschool mom and certainly before COVID. Homeschool moms aren't really known for sitting around and doing nothing. Uh,
Right.
we We definitely try to engage our kids in, whether it's volunteering or just outside classes or co-ops or whatever it is, we're definitely keeping our kids engaged. And so the idea of being able to just, put on an outfit that makes us presentable
Mhm.
quickly and easily is very attractive. It's-
Yeah. Yes. We have several homeschoolers that use my outfit guides, and from the reviews they've written, they share how when they put on an outfit, even just to do homeschooling, first of all, they'll get comments from their kids like, "Oh, where are we going today?"
right.
Nowhere. I'm just getting dressed. But it totally lifted their mood, and they just felt more ready for homeschooling and just engaging their kids. It's just something triggers in our brain when we
Yeah,
get dressed and we like what we're wearing instead of just feeling like, just gonna put on whatever.
I
It's
know.
like it's like we're showing up for our job. We get
Hmm.
dressed for if we go out to work somewhere. We get dressed because we want to be presentable.
That's
We want
right.
to give a good impression and we want to be professional. Well, it's the same thing we can do, whether we're homeschooling or just
Yeah,
at home. We get dressed to show up for a very important job at home with our kids.
that's
And
right.
it switches something in our brain. So it's pretty
That's
cool.
one of the things my oldest son actually said years later. He's like 30 something, and I asked him. I said, "What was your biggest takeaway about from homeschooling? What if when you talk to people, or even just when you think about it?" And he said, "How important it is to show up, mom, to,
Hmm.
to show up." And I thought that yeah, that is that's half the battle, isn't it? Just showing up, and that's what I feel like sometimes with getting dressed. That I'm really showing up to do
Right.
what I'm doing.
Yeah.
When I was a young married, there was, and I think she's still doing this. There was a housekeeping person, and I'm blanking out on her name right this minute, and she used to say, at least get your sink clean and dress to your shoes in the morning. Yeah, Fly Lady. It was Fly
Fly
Lady.
lady. That's right. Yes.
Yeah, and she still does it, but she's been around a
I
long time.
think she's still around. Yeah.
Yeah, she is. And but that concept of, dressing to your shoes, it really makes a difference. I was never one of those homeschooling in my pajama kind of people that because that
Yeah.
does I find that whatever I wear does really make a difference.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. So you are a young mom and well, younger, I guess everything's relative. And but you have four little ones and
Yeah.
you're running a business. Now, a lot of the moms that listen to this podcast are working moms. And certainly with COVID now, the lines are becoming a little more mingled, whether we're working at home or working from
Yeah.
home or whatever. How do you do it with four little ones?
Well, it's not easy, but I think that I so want to be able to challenge myself to do this side hustle thing. I
Mhm.
enjoy engaging with other moms, and especially designing something that helps us all in such an efficient
Mm,
way, right? I can just deliver this online and it makes such an impact across thousands of households. And now across the world, anyone in the world can just find it through Google or whatever.
right.
And so I think wanting it so much, I just make it happen, which means that we've had to just really organize our life and just make it work. And I find that I'm actually I'm a better mom when I'm able to give myself some time to
Mm,
do this on the side. I think it's just might be my personality, but I think if I didn't have something to challenge me besides being with the kids and just housework and things like that, I would be pretty grumpy. I'd feel like I'm not doing
mm.
anything with my life or whatever, even though I am. It is the most important thing to raise your kids, but it is cool to have a side hustle. So yeah, we just I work only when they're either taken care of by someone else or they are sleeping. I definitely have found it does not work to be on the computer when they're up. Frustrating for everyone. I don't get work done and they're like, mommy, mommy, mommy. But yeah, it's constantly flexing and changing, but we make it work.
Yeah, that the word of the day since COVID is, I guess, that word pivot has really
Mm,
been something that I think definitely homeschool moms, but even moms who work from home that may or may not be homeschooling, definitely have gotten, in their toolkit to learn how to pivot and just be
yeah,
flexible with
yeah,
whatever they have to accomplish, but also combined with, raising their kids and especially when they're really little.
yeah,
That's
exactly.
hard. Yeah, but it's important. I mean, Tracy and I talk about it. It's very important for moms to have their own their own thing,
Mhm.
whether it's running a business or a side hustle or a hobby, it's just something that's theirs. Uh,
Mhm.
I unfortunately learned the hard way how important that was because I homeschooled for a long time without, I mean, that was just immersed in that. And I wouldn't have traded it, looking back
Mhm.
because it was a wonderful time. But when I started winding down and trying to just, it was like, okay, what's coming up next after this?
Mhm.
I wasn't ready. So
Mhm. Mhm.
that's a wise thing that you're doing.
Mhm.
All right, I sent you a quote and I am going to ask you if you would read it and then if you and I could talk about it a little bit.
Yeah. Okay. So the quote, well, you'll have to, do you know how to pronounce the name?
Yves Saint Laurent.
Yves Saint Laurent. Okay. So Yves Saint Laurent said, I have always believed that fashion was not only to make women more beautiful, but also to reassure them, give them confidence.
Yes, Yves Saint Laurent was probably back in my day. I'm probably dating myself by giving you sending you that. But I know you're a Christian, and I know that as Christians we believe that there's beauty that comes from within, and
Mhm.
God tells us not to worry about the outside, to worry about not even to worry about the inside, leave the inside up to Him and stuff. And I'm wondering what you think about that quote in terms of that Christian approach to beauty. You
Yeah.
know.
Well, I think what the quote says, I mean, it's technically true that it fashion can make you feel more beautiful and give you confidence.
Hmm.
But I think it is also true, like maybe she's just leaving some information out. The truth that the most important beauty is inside. And I think that the beauty needs to flow from inside out, right? So I have a little mini challenge for moms that it's like a free, I call it motivate and activate, just to help them like figure out what motivates me to get dressed in the morning. One of the things I say in there is, okay, so getting dressed is important, but it's not the most important thing. You know,
Mm.
if you find that you are not getting enough sleep, you need to get more sleep. If you find that you're, so in the same way, if you find your spirit is,
Yeah.
not at peace with the Lord, or you just need time with Him, do that first. Like, don't focus on getting dressed and getting all ready for the day if you haven't had time with the Lord, or
Hmm.
if you're not going to make time for that or have time for that the rest of the day. So like, it's one of those things that it's a good thing to get dressed, to be presentable, but it falls in line with lots of other priorities.
Hmm.
And I also like to point out that when we get dressed, we're embracing our God-given femininity. We're saying like, thank you, Lord, you made me a woman. I'm going to embrace that. I'm going to show up in a feminine way.
Hmm.
And I think it just showcases the value that we have
Hmm.
in Christ. We have this value. We're made in His image, and when we get dressed, we're also just saying, "Hey, I'm acting like I'm important
Hmm.
because of God." So it's not just a superficial thing. I think it does go deep, but it can communicate a lot, and the reasons for why you get dressed can still go deep.
Hmm. Oh, that's perfect. I love how you describe that because, I have had people, well-meaning, Christian sisters
Mhm.
say, well, it really doesn't matter what you wear. Your beauty should radiate from within.
Mhm.
And I believe that the
Yeah.
second part of that, but
Yes.
I know for myself, I don't think God ever calls us to worry. Well, He doesn't call us to worry about it. And
Right.
that's part of what I love about your program, your system, excuse me, is because you don't, we don't have to worry about
Mhm.
what we're going to be wearing. You put something
Mhm.
together and you have
That's right.
plans and everything like that. And then you just, what is it? Wash, rinse, and repeat.
Yep.
So we're not worried about things. But I do find, personally, I feel like I make time in the morning for the Lord, but if I don't dress, or depending on how I dress, really does reflect how I end up like feeling and operating and even just kind of interacting with people sometimes.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. I think another way of saying it is, I try to systematize and simplify
mhm,
getting dressed so that it can have the powerful effect it has, but without becoming such a focus or such a frustration. Because actually, a lot of times, if we don't sort of figure out, a good system, like I talk about capsule wardrobe, figuring out what kinds of outfits you're going to put together and just automating that basically, then it does take too much time and energy. And I think that's why a lot of moms just, they forget it. Like, I'm not even going to
Right.
try. Um, but like some moms have described, using the outfit guides just helps them get dressed and then move on to most important parts of the day. You
Mhm.
know, it's like just make that a faster thing, but it does have that importance too, but it's not the most important thing. So just make it
Right.
faster, make it, yeah, so that you can move on to what matters in your day.
Yeah. Well, you have the business plan kind of thing, which is
Yeah.
what how I the first thing I bought from you was that, because after being home for so many years and then starting a business and writing and meeting with the coaching clients and stuff, I forgot how to dress. It was
Yeah.
terrible. So it was really, really helpful. So if you're transitioning moms from homeschooling to, either starting a business or going out into the business world, Karina's guides really are great. And I saw that you have for men another one now
Yes.
for men. That's interesting. I have to admit, my husband just looked at that and he's like, Don't even.
Yeah,
Don't even."
I
But
know.
he's gonna be a grumpy old man, he's in construction. He doesn't need to, dress for the office or whatever. He's got his clothes. So
Right. That was one of those where I put it out there and I said, okay, ladies, have at it. You see if you can convince your guys. And some of the guys were, pretty reticent about it. A lot of them were like, okay, I see how much it's helped you. So, okay, I'll try it.
yeah, sure.
And it kind of depends on whether guys, like there's extremes, and in the middle, they either don't care at all about what they're wearing and they're like, don't tell me what to wear,
Yep.
or just you go find my clothes, or they care a lot. So don't tell me what to wear and I'm gonna go find my clothes. Or in the middle, okay, I'll take some guidance. It's just funny
Well,
there.
my husband doesn't care, but at least he doesn't ask me to find his clothes. So I guess I'm happy.
Yeah.
That's great. So, tell us what. Oh, I was wondering. You mentioned that challenge. Would you be able to give? Is that something that you do all the time, or is that periodically? Or
It's always going on.
okay,
So I can give you the link for that. You can put it in the show notes.
yeah.
It's great. Yeah, it's just a quick 3-day challenge. You get an email a day with the content, and I have a video, and it's just really practical. It goes over, how to get motivated to even get put together. So finding your why,
Mhm.
and then some tips for making your getting put together routine faster, so that you can actually do it every day and not just be discouraged by
Mhm.
it taking a long time.
Oh, that's good. That's
Yeah,
very helpful. I think a lot of people, even just that challenge, that would be helpful to just.
yeah, kind of kick starts everything.
Yep. Yep. Definitely. Definitely. So, and then now you also mentioned early on when we were going back and forth that you would have a something just for our listeners, a little code if they're interested.
Yes, yes, we will have a discount code, that you guys can get 15% off any of the outfit guides.
Okay.
So yeah, what those guides do is just, it takes the thinking out of what should I buy? Like you're saying, what if you have to pivot and work outside the home or something like that? And maybe the business capsule would be a good fit. So it just gives you a list of the kinds of pieces to look for, so that you save money by just getting specific kinds of pieces and they all mix and match. And I think if I know when I shop without a list, even
Oh,
even now that I know, like I've created these lists, but when I go shopping without a list, I end up getting a lot of the same kind of things that
yeah.
it just, we fall into ruts of, like, whether it's a print top, you think, oh, I'm just gonna get more print tops and more formal pants or whatever it is.
Right.
But really, maybe there's some other things you can get to really use what you already have in more ways.
Yeah.
So it breaks that down for you, and then it shows you all the ways that those pieces combine. So you can kind of infuse your style into it, but it gives out that framework to make it easier.
And that's the thing, the hardest thing, because I can, I know kind of like pieces that I like, but then putting them together has always been like, oof. But
Yeah,
if I go shopping, excuse me, without a list, 9 times out of 10, I end up not coming back with anything because
yeah.
I just, you just kind of, you know, give up. It just seems too overwhelming. And it's like, well, I know I don't need another pair of khaki pants, which probably aren't even in style anyway anymore, but those kind of things. But I do have to say that your lists are great because my daughter, my teenager, she's 17, and she is she's a good Goodwill shopper. Like
Oh
oh
yes,
my gosh, she just is amazing.
she finds everything.
And she doesn't get it from me. So I'll say that right, right off the bat. She doesn't like paying full price for clothes. She loves saying, showing me the deals and discounts and everything. But
Mhm.
when I go shopping with her and with my list, she helps me. Oh, mom, look, didn't you need that white, sleeveless shirt? And she's just really good. So if you have teenage daughters, go shopping with them with the list. 'Cause
Yeah,
I,
because they can guide you maybe as to the styles to try out. But yeah, it's just like a neutral sleeveless top. So you have a lot of wiggle room for what that looks like for you. But
hmm
just make sure you don't, it just helps you not get another just color top or whatever.
right.
And then there's the whole aspect that I teach you how to use a color palette or color scheme so that things mix and match. And that's another really important key. And it was just mind blowing when I first realized that was a thing when I started the blog. And I was like, this is amazing, because I love color. And like, you'll see that in my stuff. I infuse color in it, but it was hard to mix and match things in my closet. So, I'd buy a piece and it would get used a couple of ways, usually only with jeans, because it didn't work with anything else, because I would just get any kind of color, all different kind of types of colors, some bright, some dusty, and they just didn't work, right? So when you have a color scheme and you can base it off of colors that look good on you, you make sure that those mix and match, and then you buy all your clothes in that, including the prints, right? So your prints might have several of those colors in it. But what's nice is that when you then pair it with your color t-shirt, all of a sudden that skirt works with all your color t-shirts and your shoes because it's all in the same color scheme. So that's really helpful as well. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, back in the day, again, I guess I'm dating myself, but they used to have a thing called having your colors done. And
Yep.
I don't know if you remember that. And and we'd get a little packet with little fabric swatches in it and everything, depending on the season, because it depended on what season you were
Yeah.
in and all that. And that was so much fun. So that's very similar to what I was, familiar with that.
Yeah. So that was really trending for a while. And I feel like it's back, or certainly it's come back like crazy just for front fighters, because as soon as I made any mention of like finding colors that look good on you, everyone's like, oh, how did I figure that out? And now like I cannot move on with any steps until I know how to figure this out. And it's so confusing. So I figured, I taught myself, self-taught how to do a color analysis on people. And I offer that as a service now. And it just like gets scooped up every time I offer it, because people just want to know for sure so they can move on with creating their color scheme. But if you're listening and you're like, what do I do now? I don't know what colors look good on me. Most people do have a sense for at least what colors do not look good on them. And if you steer clear of those, then like you're okay, right? But you can get pretty specific with what colors complement your features. And it's a pretty cool thing. Did you find out were you in autumn or winter?
I'm a winter.
Yeah. So that means those jewel tones look really good on you, and the black and the white for neutrals.
Right.
So yeah.
And before I knew that, I always stuck to like cream, off-white,
Interesting.
because I'm kind of, that beige kind of skin, and I
Yeah.
discovered no, that I'm supposed to be wearing white. Well, when I started wearing it, this was just like the scales fell off my eyes. It was really
Yes, right.
amazing. It makes a
It
difference.
makes a difference. Once you start wearing those colors, you can tell usually. So it is pretty cool. I love color analysis.
Yeah, it's so much fun. And it's something that's especially as a homeschool mom, it's something that's not homeschooling. It's something that is just for me. Although my girls have really enjoyed it. And my youngest son, who was around, he graduated a couple years ago, but when he was around when I started doing this, he's picked up on some things too, just in terms of the color. Hasn't really affected his wardrobe, what he wears, but
That's fun. Yeah. Yeah. I have an aunt that was really good at color analysis when it was popular back then. And so she actually coached me a lot as I tried to learn it.
Neat.
And I think it was more common back then for color seasons, right? Winter, summer,
Right.
fall, spring. And now I've kind of broken that down even further. I like the 12 seasons and get even more specific, but
Yeah.
it's
Well,
pretty cool.
we're all different. So it really, it is much more organic than just for broad kind of,
Yep.
that's kind of cool. All right. Well, we're about to wrap up. I'm going to put the link for the challenges you mentioned. That'd be great. And then um, you have the link for the 15% coupon, so that'll be or discount
Yep.
code.
Yep.
We'll put that in the show notes as well. And can you tell if anybody has a question that they want to direct to you? What's the best way to reach you? What are some of your contact things? And we'll put the links, of course, in the show notes as well.
Yeah, well, there's lots of ways to find me, but if you sign up for that challenge, you can hit reply to any of the emails that you get for the challenge, and there'll be someone on the other side, whether it's me or my customer service gal, Vanessa, who's actually also my sister.
Oh,
She will help you out if you're like asking for, hey, I'm looking for this kind of specific help for with regards to fashion. Then she can point you in the direction of somewhere in the blog or something that we offer.
oh,
Yeah.
speaking of the blog, I forgot to ask you, could you give it, how did you come up with it? What is it? Now that I
Now
can?
that I can do, yeah.
Yeah.
So that was actually my brand. Now that I can do was my brand when I first started. So one of the most agonizing things I think of starting a business is trying to figure out what your brand is going to be, right? Your name.
Yeah.
It's and like I'm a perfectionist, so it's even worse. But I was just trying to figure out what is the essence of how I want moms to feel when they read the blog, and if they were like me, fashion does not come easily. It's just confusing, and if they have a cute outfit on, it seems like a miracle. Like it's just like not because they knew what they were doing. So that was me. So I wanted to break it down really simply, and I wanted them to be able to say, now that I can do. So that's where that came from. And so I've kept that as the URL, even after we rebranded to Front Fighters. And Front Fighters kind of came out, I think that the community started calling themselves that because I use the word frumpy a lot. So that's kind of the story behind that.
Well, I love that. So you put this, the emphasis on the that. Now
Yes.
that I can do. I
That's right.
love that. That's great.
Yeah.
Terrific.
So yeah, besides the challenge, I think another thing that moms would enjoy doing is I just came out with a new freebie. It's also, you can use it as a challenge or just go through it with a PDF, but it's called Fashion Boot Camp for Moms. And I broke down to the simplest, like 5 things that you should figure out or learn to get started with fighting the frump and refreshing your wardrobe and starting to like what you wear more. And so I can get you the link for that as well. It's also a free challenge that they can take.
Oh, I love that. You have
Yeah.
so many wonderful tools on there to make fashion just, not a 4-letter word kind of thing.
Yeah.
It's accessible and it's doable.
Right.
Yeah, that's
Exactly.
awesome. All right. Well, Corina, I just want to thank you again. It was a pleasure talking to you. I could talk to you for hours, but we do have limits. And you have little ones that you
Yeah,
get.
kids are getting up for naps eventually.
Yeah, eventually. But hey, you got a half an hour of quiet. That's great.
Yeah, I know. That worked out well.
All right. Okay, so please definitely check out Corina's blog and Front Fighters and Now That I Can Do. And she's just a great, really sweet woman. You're going to love her after you read her about page. I just have to emphasize that. She's really cool. And yeah, so reach out to her. Tell her you heard her interview here at the You Can Homeschool podcast, and that would be cute and sweet. And in the meantime, thank you again. And let me leave you with this reminder, guys. Remember that you can homeschool and it can be terrific. Take care, y'all. We'll see you next week. Bye-bye.